Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for the murder of George Floyd. Now, the punishment fell short of the 30 years that prosecutors had requested. Chauvin did address the court for the first time, telling the Floyd family that he was sorry. With good behavior, Chauvin, who is 45, could be paroled after serving 2/3 of his sentence, so that is about 15 years.
But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest, and I hope things will give you some peace of mind.
That was kind of cryptic, so we're going to be talking about that a little later on. In the meantime, right after the sentencing, George Floyd's family spoke to the public. They disagree that the 22.5-year sentence is enough of a punishment.
We were served a life sentence. We can't get George back. Gianna can't hug George again.
I don't think any sentence would be enough, because what truly would be justice would be for us to be able to have George back.
In addition to the state charges and convictions, Chauvin faces federal charges. A federal indictment accuses Chauvin of depriving George Floyd of his civil rights under color of the law, meaning while acting in their capacity as police officers. It also accuses Chauvin of willfully depriving Floyd of his constitutional rights by pinning Floyd to the ground, resulting in his death. Conviction on a federal civil rights charge is punishable by up to life in prison or even the death penalty. So we have so much more to talk about this case and so many questions. Joining us now is Cami Chavis, professor of law and director of the criminal justice program at Wake Forest University School of Law. Steve Friedland, senior scholar and professor of law at the Elon University School of Law. And Ted Shaw, professor of law and director of the UNC Center for Civil Rights. First and foremost, let's just kind of quickly go through. Cami, what did you think of today's sentencing?
Great. Thank you for having me. Derek Chauvin was looking at about 40 years. He potentially could have been sentenced to 40 years. Prosecutors asked for 30 years based on several aggravating circumstances. And the judge sentenced him to more than what folks typically in Minnesota who've been accused of similar crimes have been sentenced to, but it was much less than what prosecutors asked for, and the judge was within his legal rights to sentence him to the 30 years based on those aggravating circumstances: abusing a position of trust, committing this act in front of a child, and the particularly cruel and unusual nature of the crime. So it is in several circles folks thinking a relatively light sentence based on the conduct for which he was convicted.
Yeah, and Ted, I think we talked a little bit around 4 o'clock this afternoon on the newscast, and you kind of echoed that same thing, that you thought there should have been more time.
Well, that's right. He could have been sentenced to a longer sentence. This is not an insignificant sentence, but I think that the judge would have been within his rights to give him a longer sentence. I can't help but unsee. I can't help myself. I can't unsee Derek Chauvin not only on his neck with his knee, but with his hands in his pockets, signaling a kind of casual nature of how he caused the death of George Floyd. This wasn't accidental. It wasn't in the heat of a moment in which he had to make a snap decision. I think there's all kinds of reasons he could have gotten a longer sentence.
All right. Hey, Steve, feel free to chime in on that question as well, but I did also want to move on to, what did you think about Chauvin speaking for the first time?
Well, I would first say prosecutor's main theme was believe your eyes. Look at the video, and I think this judge, given the aggravating factors, could have very well given a longer sentence, particularly since he's only going to serve 2/3. And the speaking at the sentencing, I don't think made one bit of difference. I think, again, believe your eyes, it's the video that really counts. And this is coming afterwards and late, and it's also in his own interests. So I don't think we saw the kind of remorse that could have really made a little bit of difference. Again, the prosecutor's approach, believe your eyes, I think still governs at the sentencing here.
Yeah, and I see your two colleagues are also nodding in agreement with what you said. So, Cammie, what is next for Chauvin? Will he be held in the same prison he's been in since trial?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question, but I wanted to go back and to what Steve
Sure.
was saying too about yes, what we have not seen since the guilty verdict is any show of remorse, and that is what judges look for. If you're in a parole situation, that is what folks would look for, some type of remorse. But he is limited in what he can do and say because of charges, federal charges that are currently pending against him.
Right. Well, let's talk about that then.
Well, I don't know the exact
Sure.
location where he will be in a protective custody, administrative custody. So he's not going to be in the general population.
And we can all kind of understand why that would be. So, Ted, let's talk about what she just mentioned, the federal charges again. What can we expect from that case?
Well, he does have some federal charges, as we've just mentioned, against him. One involved a whole nother instance in which he hit a young black teenager, I guess, or boy, young black man, with a flashlight. So, you can make what you will out of that, but, his mother said he was innocent. That was his mother. But he apparently has had some other issues with respect to his interactions with black folks. So what happens next? Well, you have an appeal, no doubt, in this case. He tried to get the judge to basically throw out this verdict. That didn't work. And so, I think he's got to go up on appeal in this case, even while there's the federal charges, civil rights charges, both with respect to this George Floyd death, but also with respect to this other black man, this young black man whom he hit with the flashlight.
Okay, and so we will all wait and see what's happening next with those federal charges. And we're all kind of still processing that whole 22.5-year sentence and also what he said, which was kind of cryptic, right? About, you're going to see something or hear something that may give you peace of mind. And we were all wondering just what that is. Thank you, all three of you, for joining us today, for giving us some insight and some context to what we saw today. We invite you, of course, to continue this conversation. We will have all of these interview segments on the 2 Wants to Know section and at WFNYnews2.com as well. So before we go, we want to make sure that you know that the 3 other former officers that are charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting manslaughter in Floyd's death, all 3 were also indicted by federal grand jury on charges of violating Floyd's civil rights. Their joint trial is scheduled for March 2022. We have more sentencing on our website.